Good morning. Thank you for joining another live conversation of Wait One Legal Minute. I appreciate y'all's support in the text messages and emails with content that I should or that you recommend or suggest me to discuss or lead in conversation. I think that it's just so important for us to continue to discuss legal and social issues. And I'm going to do my part. And this is something that I enjoy doing. I did not anticipate the platform leading me in this direction, but I have to talk about what's relevant. I'm compelled to talk about what's relevant, and I feel a sense of responsibility to use whatever resources and I have available to me to do what I can and to continue the conversations that I believe are relevant right now. So today is Thursday, and on Tuesday, I asked, what are you doing to continue the conversation? So I'm asking again because I think that we just have to keep working. We can't stop the work. We can't let this movement slow down and certainly not die down. We have to continue this conversation. So what are you doing? What have you done? I am seeing colleagues and friends and family be more vocal on social media. I am seeing people post pictures of participating in protests or services, church services that are dedicating their services to the current state of affairs. So what are you doing? Talk to me about what you're doing, what you think people should be doing, what people of color, brown people, Black people are doing, and what you believe our counterparts are doing or should be doing. I would like to know. On Monday, June 15th, just a reminder, and I spoke about this previously, but HB 426, which is a hate crime bill, because Georgia does not currently have a specific hate crime bill. I talked about what we do have in that exists now, but I went over the hate crime bill and how the bill we currently have is going to be repealed and changed, or the recommendations for it to be changed, which will target and protect. It's designed to protect groups, minority groups, and it outlines and it specifies the groups that the statute will protect. So I am excited about HB 426. It is going to vote on Monday. Already passed the Senate. It's up for the House now. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I included, and I will repost that, a link for you to track the bill. I also included a link for you to identify people in the House who you can contact to encourage them about the necessity of passing this bill. So if we don't put pressure on them, then they don't know how we feel. We need to let people who represent us know how we feel, what we need, so that they can do the right thing and vote the way we need to protect our community. So just wanted to reiterate that. I talked about on Tuesday HBCUs for our young minority athletes, HBCUs versus Division I schools. I want to continue that conversation, but I need to hit on a few other things. But I am having the conversation more and more about the our young men and women, our athletes, our young minority athletes, in the pool to go to Division I schools to compete on a higher level versus some of our HBCU schools. And I am now of the mindset that I think that we should bring our talent to our schools, to the universities that were made by us and for us. And I think that we need to build our universities up so that they can compete on a higher level, that we can keep the money in our schools, because our young youth are going to these schools that are benefiting off their talent, and the generating revenue, and that should be going towards the HBCUs, or it can be, or I challenge you to tell me anything different, and tell me how we should change or shouldn't change. I would like to know. That is my opinion. I think that it's necessary. I talked about that on Tuesday. I also talked about Black businesses, and I listed quite a few Black businesses. And I am going to certainly be more intentional, because we have to take control of our Black dollar. We have to know that our dollars are power, okay? And we are a high consumer here in this economy. And so we have to recognize our control and be more intentional about how we spend our money, who we conduct business with. So what I wanted to talk about is Alex Ohanian, Serena Williams' husband. He resigned from his position at Reddit. I'm going to show a clip about some things he said, and he believes his way to contribute to the racial injustice is to step down from the board of Reddit. And by the way, Reddit is a company that he is a founder of. He founded Reddit, and he is going to contribute the first $1 million of his Reddit stock gains to Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights Foundation. He mentions that he wants to be able to answer to his daughter when she asked him, "Daddy, what did you do?" And I just think that it's so powerful we have to be accountable for what we do and how we contribute to our society. And we have our children first to be accountable to. And everything that I do, I do with the spirit of I am leaving a legacy for my son and his children. And I just appreciate the words and the actions behind the words and the sentiment of Alexis. So I just wanted to show this clip and have some dialogue about some of the comments that he is making.
Member of the Reddit board.
Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian, announced that he's stepping down from his position at Reddit, which he co-founded.
15 years ago, I co-founded Reddit as a place for people to find community and a sense of belonging. It is long overdue to do the right thing. I'm doing this for me, for my family, and for my country. I'm saying this as a father who needs to be able to answer his Black daughter when she asks, "What did you do?" So, I have resigned as a member of the Reddit board.
He also revealed that he is urging the board to fill his position with a Black candidate, and he plans to use his Reddit stock gains to help the Black community.
I have urged them to fill my seat with a Black candidate, and I will use future gains on my Reddit stock to serve the Black community, chiefly to curb racial hate. And I'm starting with a pledge of $1 million to Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camp. I believe resignation can actually be an act of leadership from people in power right now, and to everyone fighting to fix our broken nation, do not stop.
People were loving the announcement in the comments.
So I just wanted to reiterate something that he said. He's doing this to curb, in an effort to curb racial hate, and it's an act of leadership. And I really appreciate that, because that's where it's going to start, is the acknowledgement and the action of people who are in leadership, people who are in the position of power to make a difference, to speak the words, to walk the walk, and talk the talk. And it is the fact that he is not only stepping down, but then he's encouraging the board to fill his position with a Black candidate, is a very powerful request. And he is doing he is doing his part. what he believes is his part in curbing the racial divide. And I thought about it, and I have another segment that I want to talk about on the Oprah Winfrey's Where Do We Go From Here? But when I think about it, this would be a huge step if more people did this. And what it is surrendering privilege. You know, he has acknowledged, and in another interview he had with Gayle King on CBS this morning, he said that he learned about his privilege in his or learned more about his privilege after being married to Serena Williams, and how she's checked him a few times when he makes certain comments. And I think that is really special that he can acknowledge, one, that as a white male, he has certain privileges and certain entitlements. And until he surrenders some of that privilege and entitlement, that things will never balance out. The scales will not balance out until there is a release or sharing of the power. On Oprah Winfrey's Where Do We Go From Here? She had several really powerful guests. I want to share Nicole Hannah-Jones and a comment that she made about it having to take such a horrifying event for white Americans to decide that they won't tolerate the injustice anymore. I think that we're just in a very, this is a hard place to be in. And we keep coming back to the same place. And I think that's when you hear Black Americans talk about we're tired. Like, this isn't the first time that a police officer has killed a Black person, right? For no reason, unarmed Black man killed by a police officer. It's the same story. It's the same video. It's the same trauma over and over and over again. And then there's a resurgence, and then people respond. And so we're tired. But we almost have to justify our humanity. And it takes events like this for others to understand that it's happening. So I wanted to, and let me see if I can cue this up. Let's see if I can get it. And just be patient with me. I don't have a tech crew, y'all. One day I am, but here's where she starts. And this, again, is Nicole Hannah-Jones. That just hit me so hard when Nicole Hannah-Jones said that it just takes so much for other people to, or white people to have compassion for what we experience every day, right? It takes a video, it takes a death, it takes such an egregious action for our community, for our the human race to come together to support and to protect Black Americans. And it is unfortunate that it takes a death, and it continues, because this is what we're kind of built on. This is what America is built on. And the cries of Black Americans haven't been heard. They still aren't heard. The voices that we're bringing to this pain today are the same voices that we brought to this pain years ago. It's not new. It's not a new cry. So can you hear, so you couldn't hear the end of Ms. Jones. Val, good morning. Thanks for joining as always. I'm going to jump to Ava DuVernay, and she is, she's a screenwriter. Miss DuVernay, I just love the way she expresses herself and communicates her points, even in her art. But in her words, she can speak to the way I feel. I can relate to the way she expresses her positions, and it is certainly exemplified in her art. But she says in this interview, and Val, if you could let me know if you hear it when I start playing, but that she's just sick of the conversation. How many of y'all are just tired of having the same conversation? Like, we've been saying the same thing since the beginning of our existence here in the place that we didn't want to come to. I mean, we are in pain. We are trying to overcome, and that has just been our existence. We have to continue to overcome. So we're tired of having to heal ourselves as a race, and then cater to you and your feelings and what you need in order to make it through what y'all have done to us. And that is her point, and I can relate to that. I think we appreciate the phone calls. We appreciate the ask. What can we do? But I think that the most effective way to be a part of this movement as a white person is to take the lead, take the charge. Abuse doesn't happen to someone and then the abuser then continues to take from the person they abused, right? At some point, the abuser has to take a step back and fix those things that are wrong inside of them before they then go to the person that they hurt and abused, and then say, how can I fix this? Just doesn't work that way. So let's listen to Ava DuVernay, one of my favorites. Let's see if I can cue this up. How can you tell me if you can hear this? I can barely see. I'm gonna play it in a couple seconds. Asking my tech crew to help me out here. No. That was 12.
About that. And I think we're just tired as Black people of having to prove our humanity only when the most inhumane thing happens to us.
Yeah, Ava, I see you nodding.
Yeah, I a lot of my thoughts this week have been around, being sick of this conversation of, the ask or demanding or, trying to literally be in conversation about this, not from a place of, Black militancy, from a place of personal exhaustion, generational exhaustion, with the idea that our attention has to be on problem solving this inside of a framework that was built for this very, very moment. It's not a broken system. It was built this way. It's built to function exactly as it is. So I feel it's disingenuous for us as a society to act as if we're suddenly horrified when, everyone has participated in this, benefited from it, not for years, decades, centuries, generations. And so what I've been trying to interrogate for myself is, how do we, protect ourselves, survive, and thrive without having to engage in the same conversations? And that's what I'm hearing everyone say, these same conversations that our ancestors, our elders have had. And I think so much of those conversations are centered on educating Caucasian people to the trauma, walking them through what it is, making sure that they feel and sustain that outrage. All of that has a place and it's valuable. But, if we look to history, we know that there are actions to take that can sit outside of a framework of permission, outside of a framework of asking for that, outside of a framework of hand-holding folks through a process that it seems never quite takes hold. And so that's my my own work, is to try to, break out of the constant education of folks, and to really ask, white folks who feel deeply about this issue to take on that labor for themselves. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of us have gotten calls and emails and texts and come speak here and interviews and that kind of thing, but that's taken, to Charles's point, that's taken time away from work that we could have been doing in another area. And so I just don't want to fall into that mistake. And I feel like this is a moment to reframe it and put our energy in a different direction.
This is why I like Ms. DuVernay. I appreciate her perspective in saying that we can't hold your hands right now. We don't want to do the hand holding and of the white people who want to help and who want to contribute to the movement. And instead, what we need from you is to take on the labor yourself, instead of, again, asking the group that's abused to do more. So now walk me through how I can help you. No, step up. We need leaders. We need people to, and we need white people who will not rely on the guidance of the group that has been abused to guide them through what they can do to make us feel better. And going back to what I played earlier, to Alexis Ohanian's comments and his actions, stepping down and asking that a Black candidate replace him on the board. Listen, that's leadership, and he says it. He's that as a leader, that is what he felt was the truest form of leadership. This is what I believe will contribute to the racial divide. So what can you do? Step up, be leaders. Use your privilege. Surrender it. Surrender some of your privilege. I would like to see that happen, because when you say I want to help, then part of helping, or part of reaching a resolution, is to equal the playing field, right? To balance things out. Well, as I see it, the only way that you can balance this inequity out is to balance the entitlement, or take the entitlement away altogether. Abolish privilege, abolish entitlement, right? Abolishing slavery wasn't enough, right? Creating and establishing civil rights to protect us wasn't enough. You're doing these basic things to help the disenfranchised, which is what you made us. Like, you brought us over here, disenfranchised us, and then you tried to give us, we'll give them some, let's give them freedom, okay? But still never giving any, never surrendering anything. We'll give you this, but we won't surrender anything. We'll give you civil rights, but we won't surrender anything. will give you affirmative action. So some of your children can go to some of these schools or some of these jobs are required, will give you, but we won't surrender anything. And I am very clear that we won't have a change in all of these requests that we're making and the laws that we're trying to enact and the training in the police department. I don't believe that we will have any serious movement progression until we abolish privilege and abolish entitlement, like we abolished slavery. It won't happen. We're still enslaved. We're still the minority in businesses. We still don't have a place at the table. And so until there is some kind of surrender, because I talked about acknowledgement, and those are all the beginning steps. But at the end of the day, you're going to have people stepping down to say, there needs to be more diversity here. It has to be more diversity here if we really want to be true to the movement and to the injustice. I am going to wrap it up here because I am trying to stay dedicated to less than 30 minutes if I don't have a guest. I'm going to continue these conversations. I appreciate all of the support and the emails and the texts. I actually did not know what I was going to cover today, and I'm so glad that I spoke with my best friend last night who reminded me about the Oprah Winfrey, where do we go from here? And at the same time, I was watching CBS this morning and listening to Alexis Ohanian speak with Gayle King, and was just really compelled by his words and actions. So I'm going to continue to use this platform to have these discussions on social and legal issues. This is Wait One Legal Minute. I'm also here to answer any legal questions regarding family law, entertainment, or personal injury. And if I cannot help you, I can refer you to someone who can, as I am only licensed in the state of Georgia. I'm not giving any legal advice, but I can certainly give you some guidance and resources. But I just want to thank you. I want y'all to have a great weekend. I want everybody to elevate. I want you to push yourself. I want you to check yourself. I want you to check people around you. I know that we are going to, COVID was traumatic in and of itself. Just the whole, what COVID forced us to do, I think is going to cause us to really redefine ourselves individually and as a nation. And I think that these conversations about race relations is a part of it, a huge part of it. And I am encouraged and I'm hopeful because I believe in humanity, and I believe that we are a compassionate human race. But sometimes people have to understand the perspectives and the lives and the walk of others in order to shift. So I look forward to seeing you all on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 o'clock. I welcome any suggestions on the conversations. And I just thank you. And I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining Wait One Legal Minute.